already loved by others.
Hi, it's Michelle Hudspeth, and this is Red, Rare Essential Discoveries. Thank you for joining me today. This video is to continue the discussion about my authentic self that I named Red and my pseudo self that I named Cinderella, and how I was able to let go of Cinderella, and I'm still letting go of her, and show up as Red in life the majority of the time. We were talking about the reason that we form, or I formed, a pseudo self was because I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel valued, I didn't feel significant. And so I felt that I couldn't show up as who I truly was, that she wouldn't be loved or accepted, and that I had to show up as somebody that would be pleasing and agreeable and make others feel good, and then they might give me the affirmation that I so desperately needed because I didn't feel valuable. And it was a long process. It's still a long process having Red show up 98% of the time, and Cinderella only 2%. Here's how I learned to do that. Number one, I had to figure out, why did I quit being my authentic self? My authentic self is adventurous and strong and passionate and excited and joyful. My emotions are big, they're wonderful. I get angry, I get sad. But for the most part, I'm a pretty positive person. Why would I choose Cinderella to be? And it was a very, very slow process. And it kind of goes back to my other video about life is what you think it is. Back in my childhood, I had some situations and experiences occur, and they somehow, in that experience, I attached that meaning that we talked about, how you have power to attach a meaning to an experience, and you can attach a meaning that serves you, attach a meaning that disempowers you, which I did. One of my earliest meanings that I attached to some of those experiences was I didn't matter, that my feelings were too big, I needed to suppress them and make them small, and that when I served others, I got the affection and the affirmation and the acceptance that I was craving. Then over time, I formed beliefs of these thoughts, and over more time, I behaved in a way that matched what I believed. Little by little, I became Cinderella. I became, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I'm superhuman. God takes care of all my needs. I don't need anything from anyone. I'm great. I mean, even saying it now, I'm like, it's so, it's arrogant for one thing. It's prideful, right? I mean, everybody needs things. Everybody needs affirmation. Everybody needs acceptance and love. But I had denied these needs existed. And denial's powerful. And if you do denial over and over and over, after a while, it works really well. But I couldn't deny all the time. Sometimes situations would occur and there was no denying. And I would get upset and I would get depressed and I would get angry. But then I wouldn't behave right. Then my actions would cause the people around me not to love and accept me. They would cause them to want to reject me and to be away from me. And so then I was like, yikes, I can't do this because I need this. So I'll just avoid. I will just avoid that I'm feeling this, that this is even happening. This is not real. This isn't happening. And so denial's sister was avoidance, and boy, were they a pair. Together, oh man, I could get through most any difficult situation. And I learned to use this as a form of medication or coping. I didn't realize it becomes a habit, and it becomes kind of your default behavior. And please, no judgment. No judgment for myself. I was doing the very best I could with what I knew. Please hear my heart. No shame, no judgment. We all do the best with what we know right now. I don't believe anybody wakes up on purpose and says, I'm going to be the worst version of myself today. I'm going to go traumatize and hurt my family today. No one says that. No one thinks they're going to do that. And no one plans to do that. And I have great love and absolute forgiveness for every person that was ever a caregiver in my life. And that's another thing we'll talk about another day. But I don't hold anyone else responsible for my happiness. I have learned I am 100% responsible for my happiness. Nobody else is that powerful. But that's another video. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So these feelings that I would deny and avoid became a habit and became my default, and I felt like I could manage my life. And I did. And 1 week turns to 1 month, 1 month turns to 1 year, and before you know it, you're 25 years down the road, and you're just like, I don't even know how I got here. But here's the thing. My significant relationships began to crumble. They were actually already crumbling. I didn't see them crumbling. It was so subtle. It was just like one day I realized, oh my gosh, my marriage is not good. And a lot of my friendships were not real. They were superficial. My working relationships were superficial. And it just didn't feel good. And I started to feel like, man, I don't know how I got here. And it started to feel painful. I mean, like emotional pain. And I would deny and avoid, and it just didn't work as good anymore. Some of you are familiar with 12-step programs. I love 12-step programs. I think they're awesome. And they have a saying that we heal at the rate of our pain. Or at least the one that I went to would say that. And I thought, wow, that's so true, because at first you might feel uncomfortable or discomfort. And you notice, gosh, I don't feel great about that. But then you do the denial avoidant thing and you feel like a little better. But over time, that's not working anymore. So then the discomfort turns into real, like, either depression or anger or agitation or anxiety even. And then you can't deny and avoid that anymore. It's affecting your life. It's affecting your day-to-day. And that's the kind of pain that gets your attention. And I thank God for it, because if I hadn't started to feel that uncomfortable, agitating, depressing, sad, painful feeling and feel pain in my relationships, I would have never woken up. I would have never gone to seek the reason. And it was in the seeking of that I healed and I grew. Pain is a powerful teacher, and we need to accept it, but we need to get help. I'm not by any means saying if you are in a painful relationship or you're so depressed you can't get up out of bed to just deal with it. Absolutely not. We need community. We need each other. We need others' gifts and strengths in our lives. And so I urge you to, if that's you, to reach out and get some help. But in my journey, I realized that the more I tried to use my old coping, the less it worked, until I was to a point of just really miserable, so miserable and unhappy. And I knew, I have got to make a change. Okay, so back to my life coach. She basically had to help me find out who I am. And it was a process. And one of the things that really helped me is she said that Tony Robbins believes that there are 6 human needs. 4 of them are very basic to your personality. We have a need for certainty. We have a need for variety. We have a need for significance. And we have a need for love and connection. So those are kind of the 4 basic human needs. And then we have 2 spiritual needs or non-physical needs that are growth, and contribution. She would ask me questions about those 4 needs to try to discover, was I missing that? And that really helped. So the first one is certainty. We all have a need for certainty, for security, for knowing we've got a roof over our heads, we've got money to pay our bills, we've got food to eat, the basic needs covered. Okay, so that's certainty. The second need is variety. We want security, but the variety is we need adventure. We need to be stimulated mentally and intellectually and physically. And, this is why people take vacations. This is why people listen to music. This is why people try a new recipe, go see a movie, to have that variety in our lives. So that's a need as well. And then the third need is the need for significance. We need to feel like our existence matters, like that it's important to someone that we're here on the planet. And a lot of people have been so wounded that, they don't. That was me. I didn't really feel significant, except that I had children and I knew that if I didn't provide for them, they would be damaged. So that did give me some significance. A lot of people derive significance from outside themselves, like being part of a church or being part of a community, or, their vocation makes people feel significant. I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, and people find significance in those ways. But the truth is, if that need is really met of significance, we feel that inside. We have an internal feeling of significance that we matter. We're enough. That's that significant component. Then the fourth need is the needing for love and connection. So we all need to love and be loved. And that's why our relationships are so important. If we don't feel loved, that hurts our ability to love. And if we have the wrong meaning attached to what love is, we're going to love in damaging ways. So as we discuss these things, I was able to begin to see where I had the greatest need. And for me, I had certainty. I was really blessed in that regard. And I had variety, sort of. I had 4 kids, so hey, every day was different, and that helped. But I did not feel very significant. And it is still one of the things that I struggle with. And I just, have to keep reminding myself and loving myself, finding proactive ways to love myself, that significance need. I had love and connection, but because I was showing up more as Cinderella than Red, I didn't have really good, intimate, healthy love relationships and connections. And that wasn't their fault. Again, I don't blame those people. It was me. It was what I believed about me. Remember, we talked earlier about the filters over your eyes and over your ears. And if you have these beliefs and these meanings about I'm not lovable or I'm not loved, and then someone's trying to give you love, you're like, I don't feel loved. I don't, no. And you do this self-rejecting thing. That's kind of what I had done in all my love connections, even with my parents, and especially in my marriage. So this was really good. This really helped me start to be like, oh, okay, I think I know why maybe I have not felt worthy, or why this or that. So I'm going to stop there because that's a lot. But I want to leave you with this thing. One of my viewers really liked the first video in the series where I suggested journaling as a way to explore how you're feeling. And she was like, I'd love it if you'd put, something like that, something I could do at the end of each video. Well, I don't know if I've done that, so sorry about that. But I remembered it for this one. My suggestion would be to get a piece of paper or a journal, or you can do this in front of a mirror. I call it mirror work. But write down your 4 needs, all the 4 needs that every human's need. Need for certainty, need for variety, need for significance, and need for love and connection. And maybe just take some quiet time for a few days, whatever you need, and ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel secure? If not, why don't I? Or do I feel I have variety in my life, that I have adventure, that I'm stimulated, that I've got some things to look forward to that are new and different? If not, why? Third thing, significance. Do I feel significant? Name all the ways you feel significant, and then maybe name the ways you don't. Why don't you? And then the fourth one, love and connection. Do I feel loved? Do I feel connected? If I do, why? If I don't, why? So this would be a good place to just begin exploring, begin your journey of self-awareness for yourself. So until next time, bye. 'Cause I'm already